Hey, book lovers. My name is Em, and I want to talk about books. And cats. Hey, book lovers, welcome back. Summer has hit Vermont, and the studio is boiling. Yet another reason that working at night is the best. It is wild how quickly it went from being in the 50s to being 90. And I know it's not that hot to some people, but the humidity sucks. And I love winter because I overheat anyway. I have almost always worn just like a sweatshirt in the wintertime, and I spend a lot of time outside. So, summer's fun. Anyway, while I am preparing this episode, we are in the midst of what the locals around here call Dairy Day weekend. I think it's actually called the Vermont Dairy Festival, but I'm not entirely sure. And we've been here for a couple decades. I should probably know that. It's just a small town fair. It's milk themed because we are in dairy country. And it is quite a spectacle. Great people watching. But it's definitely good in small doses. So I decided to go on a little adventure with my pooch, Oscar, to try to find a new pretty place for my next reading place. It didn't exactly go according to plan. Let's just say that there was a river involved. And I didn't end up getting to read at all while we were there. I have a new podcast coming out. I think I've mentioned it before. It is going to be called Where's My Purse? And if you listen to the second episode when it comes out, you will hear the story of that little adventure. It's a good one. And this week's book is a good one too. This week, I want to talk about Paris, the Memoir by Paris Hilton. Now, I predicted several episodes ago that I would be reading this one pretty soon. I think it was after I read the Pamela Anderson memoir. And I did get the audiobook pretty soon after that. And this book ended up being even more interesting than I thought it was going to be. Paris Hilton, among a ton of other amazing things, was also sent away to one of those camps for quote-unquote bad kids that have been exposed recently for just the insane abuse that those kids suffered. And Paris Hilton went through some crazy stuff. And she just kept fighting them. Honestly, her strength of will is just incredible. And it's just really strange to picture her in that kind of situation. The rest of the book covers other interesting stories from her life. And like most celebrity memoirs, things are definitely, carefully curated and presented in a certain way. But honestly, I think it's fine for people to tell their own stories. I guess I'm just fine with anyone writing a book who wants to. Why not tell your story? There is definitely some wild privilege in this book. Obviously, right? You would expect it. She's an amazing businesswoman and super talented. I will give her that. But there are just some things that she has never experienced and cannot understand. Money definitely makes life easier in some ways, But this is honestly a much smaller piece of the book than I expected. Paris has done some truly amazing things, and she continues to just expand her empire. It's incredibly admirable. She also talks about living with ADHD, which I have a definite interest in right now. See my other podcast, Where's My Purse? And she talks about the differences in how it presents in women and how that can lead to being misdiagnosed with something else. Because it is wildly different in women than it is in men. Listening to this book actually kind of nudged me to finally start taking the steps to get assessed for ADHD. I love how books can just start an avalanche in life. Sometimes. This one definitely started a whole huge thing that I did not expect and was not entirely prepared for. But I'm going to talk about it on my other podcast. Anyway, I'm a fan of Paris Hilton. I think she's brilliant, and I definitely recommend you listen to this memoir. Even if you're not a fan of her, it's a really, really interesting read. So now it is time for a quick ad break, and then I want to tell you about a couple of podcasts that are new in my life. New to me. Hey, book lovers. As you all know, I am a huge animal lover, and I have a house full of furry friends. And given the name and the content of my podcast, I have to assume that some of you do too. I'm also going to assume that you love to spoil your pets because, well, is there anything better? If you love showering your favorite animals with gifts as well as attention, you should check out pethaveny.com. The link is in the show notes, and by using the link, you will also be helping support the podcast. Pet Haveny has adorable clothes for pets, including a Hawaiian shirt that I just have to get for my orange kitty Dozer. It is definitely his vibe. I also just got him a super soft and comfy bed. They have a bunch of different colors, shapes, and sizes to fit your pet's personality. If you find something you know your pet will love, use code BOOKSANDCATS and you'll get 30% off your order. That's books, the letter N, cats, for 30% off. And if you're looking for another way to support the podcast and want to get free books and stories by yours truly, check out the Books and Cats Patreon. Currently, you will immediately get access to my newest collection of short stories, 3:33 a.m., and every month you will get access to another one of my stories. I have other ideas in the works for the Patreon, so join now and don't miss a thing. It's $3 a month, and it is greatly appreciated. Plus $3 for a full collection of short stories is a pretty good price. And that's not even including everything else. You can find the link to the Patreon in the show notes, as well as on the Books and Cats Instagram and the website. Sign up for even more fun Books and Cats content. Welcome back, book lovers. So, I recently found out that I do have ADHD. I might have mentioned that earlier. It's not super surprising, but then it's also a bit of a shock, if that makes any sense. Anyway, I am learning all kinds of things right now, and life is beginning to make a lot more sense. So naturally, I'm going to podcast about it. I mentioned this earlier, but I am calling this podcast Where's My Purse? And I'm hoping that maybe it will help someone. I know that hearing other people's stories is helping me to kind of understand everything. And, I love podcasting. And speaking of podcasts, I've got one that I want to share with you all, although I'm sure that most of you have probably already heard about it. I'm always way behind on these things, and they have like 16 seasons. So anyway, it's called Something Was Wrong. I started listening this season 16, because Andy told me that he thought the story might match mine in several ways. In this season, the host, Tiffany, is telling her own story. And honestly, it is so close in some places that it makes me a little nauseous to listen to her. It's definitely not identical, but there are so many little things that when she said them just kind of made my whole body feel nauseous, if that's possible. Honestly, it is both incredibly difficult to listen to and also a little therapeutic. The storytelling is just so honest and raw, and it's a really incredible show. Honestly, listening to this is what inspired my own decision to start Where's My Purse? This project has been kind of kicking around in my head for a while, but the pieces hadn't really come together. I needed some sort of unifying theme, and I think that it is going to be ADHD and my journey now that I know I have it. But, everything is so interwoven that I know I'm going to cover a bunch of other things as well. I guess I'm kind of expanding the idea that I initially had for reflections, but giving it more direction. I don't know. I'm excited for this new show, and honestly, that is enough to show me it's a good idea. I have been struggling with depression lately, and I have had zero interest in pretty much everything. I've been kind of just going through the motions, so anything that gets me excited seems like something that I need to pursue. And I can also potentially be bringing relief to other people. And of course, it's got to be through storytelling. It's all I know. And definitely check out Something Was Wrong. It is so good, and I'm going to go back and listen to all of the past seasons once this one's over. That'll give me lots of good listening material. So moving on to the quote of the week, it is from Albert Einstein, and it kind of encompasses the mentality that I've been using to try to get through this bout of depression. The quote is, "Life is like riding a bicycle. To keep your balance, you must keep moving." I honestly feel like I've been stalled for a while now, not really living, just kind of existing and trying to figure things out, which I guess is common for where I'm at. But summers are for living, and I've just got to keep moving. That is all for this episode. Go out and do some living this week, book lovers, the best you can, anyway. Absolutely no judgment if you can't. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a beautiful week. Take care of yourselves. And until next time, keep reading.
A Frap Media production.